Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to go over the topic of insurance and whether you should insure, whether you shouldn't insure, what situations you should be insuring in, and what stuff is kind of pointless to insure, I guess. And hopefully explain everything to you guys as best I can, and hopefully shed some light on what you should be doing, who you should be insuring with, why, when, and where. So, let's get into it. Great benches. Dude, see these glasses? These glasses suck. You know what glasses you guys need? These glasses made by the beautiful people over at Gamer Advantage. You guys can pick up these very same sexy frames, the limited edition tweak frames. You can also get their new Horizon frames available in a bunch of different colors, including the sexy purple ones that I've been wearing recently. If those frames don't suit you, you can check out the Infernos, the Augments, the Storms. You can get your prescriptions put in. You can get 10% off using code TWEAK. You can also save yourself from getting headaches and burnt out red eyes from gaming all day because of their blue light protecting glasses, and it'll help you sleep better at nighttime. Also, you look sexy while you're doing it, and the frames are super flexible and designed to be worn by people who game all day just like us. Big bunch of degenerates. So lads, make sure to check out Gamer Advantage. Use code TWEAK for 10% off. So here we are in my stash. This is before we've even done one raid today. So we've got a little MP7 loadout. We've got a Gazelle, ULAC, Blackrock, Attack 2. Got our keys, our injectors, surf kit, all that other stuff in our gamma container. So let's quickly go to the lobby, and then we're going to hit insure all. So what we're looking at right now, 145,000 rubles to insure all this stuff. Now, when you insure something, you need to think, if I die this raid, where's my gear going to go? So some of the no-brainers for me is I always insure my armor. So I'll insure my helmet, I'll insure my chest armor, or I will definitely insure my rig if it's an armored rig. So such as like an AACPC or like even a TV10 or something like that. Now, why is it always worth to insure your helmet and your armor? Well, because when you kill another player, if they have the same armor as you or better, you can simply drop your helmet or drop your armor in a bush and take theirs, and yours will come back in insurance. So that is the basic premise of why I always insure at least my armor. Now, am I going to insure my gun? Most of the time, I do it anyway just out of pure laziness. But most of the time, it's never worth insuring your guns because you'd usually never get them back. Most of the time, if you take a nice gun into a raid, it will not return. If you take a semi-decent-ish gun that has a suppressor on it, maybe a nice optic, maybe a nice, RK2 on it or something like that, you will keep the majority of the gun, but they will take your suppressor, they will take your optic, and they will take your RK2, and maybe take your mags as well. So, if you're going to insure your gun, just be ready to have it come back without any of the nice things on it. Now, as far as your rig and your mags, if you're running really, really cheap mags, there's probably no point in insuring them. If you're running 60 rounders, you can insure them, because you never know, you might get them back. You might get into a situation where you might ditch your gun entirely. Now, I never do this. I don't know how much, the portion of the current player base of Tarkov actually ditch the guns that they bring into raid with them in order to take more weapons and then get it back in insurance. I'm kind of weird in that way. I feel kind of loyal to my gun. If I end up killing a bunch of people, I kind of feel bad dropping the gun that killed all the people for me. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of weird in that way. And I never usually drop my weapon. But I can see situations where you would want to maybe insure all your mags and your rig, but you also can't really predict that that's going to happen in the raid that you're going into. So I personally insure my gun anyway because I'm lazy. I just hit the insure all button. But if you were to do it, I would recommend for most people just to insure your armor, and then everything else, you're probably not going to get it back anyway. You can probably insure your contacts as well, depending on which ones you're using. If you're using like nice contacts, people will usually take them. But if they're just ones you can buy from traders, you'll probably get them back. Now, as far as backpacks are concerned, you will pretty much always lose your backpacks. I am a bastard for this. I will pretty much always drop my bag in favor of somebody else's bag. If I bring in a tri-zip with me and somebody else has a tri-zip with them, I will always drop my tri-zip to take theirs and then get my tri-zip back in insurance, because I find that a lot of my money in this game is completely wasted buying backpacks, and any time that I can just rob them from somebody else, every time I drop my bag to take somebody else's, I always look at it as, that's 50,000 rubles I'm saving, because, a bag, give or take, you know, from like a tri-zip upwards is going to cost you anywhere from 50k to like the couch backpacks are like almost 200k at the moment with the price of military cables depending. So insuring your bag is usually pretty pointless, but you can if you want, if you're one of those people that likes to drop your bags and take other people's bags. So overall, guys, is insurance worth it at all? I insure everything every raid. I think I'm wasting my money. I think I've been wasting my money this entire wipe. I think I would be a lot richer than I am now if I just didn't insure anything ever. I think it's a complete waste. But if you are going to insure, you might as well insure, you know, the stuff that I've talked about. And after I have just told you guys that I think insuring stuff is completely pointless, I know it's not going to change anything. People are still going to insure their gear anyway because it almost feels like a safety net that you're going to get things back when you insure it. But, you know, I hate to pull the rug out from under you. You guys know yourselves, you rarely get anything back in insurance. You're probably wasting a massive majority of your money doing it all the time. So let's talk about, real quick, maps that are actually worth insuring on. So Shoreline for me, no brainer. I think Shoreline is always a good map to insure your gear on because without a doubt, you're always going to get into some pretty decent PvP with people. At least I normally do as well. Anyway, Lighthouse, absolutely insure your gear on Lighthouse. This is the map where I have like most of the time gotten like all my shit back, like every time. Unless I die on the side of the map where like the military base isn't. Like, if you die over there, you know, all your shit's kind of up for grabs. But if you die, like, while you're farming rogues and stuff like that, you will most of the time get all of your gear back, which is fantastic. Reserve. Usually, insuring your gear here is kind of pointless because you're either going to die one of two ways. You're going to go downstairs, you're going to fight the raiders. You're either going to die to raiders or you're going to die to somebody countering you fighting the raiders. And they're going to take your stuff and leave. Anyway, you're like, the next scenario where you die is you're going to go down to take D2 extract. And you're going to get hosed by a 4-man camping D2 and they're going to take all your gear anyway. So insuring on reserve feels kind of pointless. Unless you're staying on the top side of the map, you'll be completely safe because nobody plays the top side of the map anyway. Factory, don't insure your gear on factory. There is no point. Anytime I go to factory, if the first person I kill has a really, really nice kit, I take all of their shit, I leave, I reset. Don't bother insuring on factory. It's pointless. You will never get your stuff back. Unless you're playing in a team, okay? But we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Woods, there's a good chance you get all your stuff back because even if somebody kills you on woods, your body can be very hard to find in the grass. So you could insure your shit on woods. Up to you. The amount of times I've killed somebody on woods and then not being able to find their body and I just leave out of frustration is kind of funny. So sometimes that'll happen to you on woods. Sometimes you'll just die to Sturman and nobody will find your body. And it really depends on where you're going. If you're going to go fight cultists or something like that, sure, insure your stuff. If you're going to go farm Sturman over and over again, insure your stuff. Also, one thing I will say real quick, if you are doing a nighttime raid on any of these maps, it's always worth insuring your gear because if you die to a cultist, you'll probably get your stuff back. Interchange is kind of a weird one because Interchange is one of those maps that I found recently where it's a coin flip between is the map completely dead or is it absolutely loaded with chads. But most of the time on Interchange, I have found that you will get your armor and your helmet back and stuff like that, but your gun will often be gone. So I would say insuring your gun is probably not the play on Interchange. I found it to be one of the weird things. Like if I have a stint of time where I just play Interchange for like a couple of days, I will always get my armor back and like my helmets and stuff, unless it's, you know, like a Reese T or like a Slick or something like that. But people for some reason like don't take armor on Interchange. People will like often like prioritize guns. And then as far as backpacks are concerned, I mean, it's a coin flip. It depends on what bag you're bringing with you. So insuring stuff on Interchange, kind of a coin flip. If you're farming Killa, I would probably recommend insuring your stuff because if you died to Killa, you're probably going to get your stuff back because anybody else who goes to fight Killa is probably going to die to him too. And you'll get your stuff back. And then finally, customs. Customs again, coin flip. I would probably not recommend insuring your gear on customs because it's one of the most active maps in the game. A lot of people still scav in on this map as well. A lot of people also scav on reserve. A lot of people scav Interchange. People don't really scav Shoreline. People always scav Lighthouse as well. So on maps where there's a lot of player scavs, the odds of you getting your gear back is even more diminished and diminished and diminished. So I would probably not recommend insuring on customs at all because not only are there chances you'll run into the scab boss, people find out the scab boss are there and you die, other people come to clean up the boss, they're going to find your gear as well. If you die in dorms, people are going to find your body. If you die in construction, if you die in crack house, if you die in, you know, Rashala's compound, like your body's going to be found because those are all very highly trafficked areas. And a lot of people play in big groups on customs as well. So you should absolutely probably never insure your stuff going to customs because you're likely to never get it back. Also, labs, definitely insure all of your gear when you're going to labs. Just 100% insure everything. You'll always get it back in insurance. Great map. Definitely want to insure everything. I always get all my stuff back from playing labs. Just kidding. So one quick thing I would like to talk about before this ends. There are some scenarios where insurance is absolutely 100% something you should do. If you're playing in a duo, you're playing in a trio, a 4-man, a 5-man, always insure all of your gear. You know why? Because your teammates can hide it for you. So every single time you're playing in anything more than a solo, always insure your gear. But basically the rule is, guys, if your insurance is going to cost you 200,000 rubles and you don't really have that much money in your stash and you're taking out your last, you know, really super kit to go fight with that you're probably going to lose because you're rage queuing over and over again, it is probably not worth spending the 200 to 250k it's going to cost you to, you know, insure your slick and your Reese T. And I'm gonna be honest, I wish I never insured anything for the entirety of this wipe just to see how much money I would have now, because I have wasted tens and like dozens of millions. Like I've probably blown well over 100 million rubles easily, like easily, probably way more than that this wipe on insuring gear, because I insure everything every single raid. And one last thing as well, people always ask me this too: why is your gamma container insured and your injector case and your keys and shit? Just to answer that question once and for all, if you guys ever see a streamer that has all of this shit insured when it makes absolutely no sense, it's because we want to hit this button instead of having to do this every single time before we go into a raid. I would much rather just hit the insure all button, do that, and then go. There is like a one-time cost for you to, you know, insure your sick, insure all your keys, insure your injector's case. And it's going to cost you like probably 500 or 600k. But it's only like a one-time thing just to make it so that we can get in and out of raid way faster, which is nice. I would almost rather they just made it so you can't insure anything in your gamma container, so we can hit insure all without having that one-time cost of having to blow, you know, 500 or 600k when we insure our gamma container. Because this button, you can't use this button if you have anything like an injectors or a sick case in your container, because a lot of people will just hit insure all by accident and then they'll end up losing like well over 500,000 rubles in the early wipe because they didn't realize that they had this kind of stuff in their container. So lads, that's been it. Hopefully I have shed some light on what you should and shouldn't insure and when you should insure and stuff like that. So this is definitely a video mostly for, you know, newer players out there, but that's generally what I tend to do. So hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight as to, you know, why and when and what I insure. So lads, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. Make sure to share it with a friend who's maybe new TFT, doesn't understand the whole insurance system. And that's pretty much it. So guys, I'll see you on the next video. Make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe and all that. And I will see you guys on the next video. Peace out, my dudes.